suddenly the guy who I don't know says, "Steve Young." And I'm like, "Hey." And then Steve Jobs, my neighbor, who we've met like 8 or 9 times, goes, "Oh, hi." This is our old home right here. I bought when I was single and then got married to Barb and had first kids here. And it was a good, quaint little spot, right? You know, I remember a Packer fan. I woke up one morning before playing the Packers for the playoffs, and they'd hung a bunch of cheese heads from the trees. And I think that's the game we threw to Terrell Owens and won in the last second. So I came back from that, cut all of the cheese heads, and we, burned it in a ceremonial.
What do you like about this area?
Well, I think more than anything, this is the spot where it's resonant for my job when I played, and I just stayed. And I think Silicon Valley, if you think about 1987 moving down to Santa Clara with the 49ers, and then that history through today is the history of technology. Everywhere you went, you were around people that were, transforming the world. And so as a player, as an athlete, you always feel like you're a little bit of an imposter in that world, right? Because I don't have a product, I don't have this great idea, I play a game. And I think in many ways, that was part of that transition, was appreciation and a kind of honor for the amazing things that are happening around me, and seeing if I could play a small role in catching up and learning about it.
So Halloween.
Oh, this is Steve Jobs used to do Halloween. This whole block shuts down for 4 blocks that way or this way and then that way. The Google founders, there's very, very successful people here, and they put on, it's a block party, and it's thousands of people come from all over the peninsula and probably all over Northern California come to be in these 4 or 5 blocks. And we had already moved when it got hot, and I was like, crap, we missed it all. But Halloween night here is happening.
And you were talking about how back in the day you'd walk by and you'd see him typing.
Yeah, right here. So it's grown up. There used to be none of this overgrowth, but that window right there is where his office was, and he'd just be working, doing his thing, and that's what I mean. That's the neighborhood.
Yeah.
And it's not name dropping. It's just the nature of what Silicon Valley became. So one day I'm jogging. I used to go on runs downtown and come back. I'm jogging back, and I see Steve, and I see someone else, and I don't know who it is, and suddenly the guy who I don't know says, "Steve Young," and I'm like, "Hey," and then Steve Jobs, my neighbor, who we've met like 8 or 9 times, goes, "Oh, hi," and he clearly didn't know. I was like, "Steve, I'm your neighbor. I've met you 5 or 6 times, but Steve Young, He's like, "Oh yeah." And then so it's just so funny that, and then I just got talking, and the guy that I didn't know was like, "Steve, I know you because we used to go over to Mormon basketball at the Stake Center, and we play basketball and pick up, and I'm like, what? What are you doing?" And I finally realized, oh, that's Larry Ellison. Like, it took me a minute. No offense to Larry, but it just took me a minute to put it all together. And I just thought that was a funny interaction where nobody knew each other. We're all neighbors. And that's the insanity of Silicon Valley in 1995 and 98, right? And 2000. It was a crazy, crazy time. The whole world now spins off of what happens here in many ways in technology. It's now spread out throughout the world, of course. But at that time, those were the guys that, the Hewlett and the Packard in the garage, and what a place to be.
What's Mark Zuckerberg like?
He lives in a normal little house. Like, we're all just around in Palo. It's a nutty space. At Halloween, he used to give out huge, giant, Nestle Crunch bars, or like the giant ones, not just the little ones, like but the giant ones. You're like, bro, what do you make me look bad, man? Quit trying to shame me. This is like neighbor shame. We can't do that. So that, but I don't know if to change. But no, they don't even. It's the other famous technologists around Palo Alto now have opened their homes up that line up literally for 3 or 4 miles. But a number of times people have knocked on my door and say, "Does Mark Zuckerberg live nearby?" You know, and I'm like, "Yeah, just keep going that way." You know, in Palo Alto, if you played football, pretty much nobody knows.